You are listening to Season 2 of The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, the short and often daily podcast in which I chronicle my life and attempt to be a writer by writing daily. Sometimes. Hello, today is Saturday the 29th of March 2025 and you are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. And yes, it is early. Normally I do these in the evening, occasionally I do them sort of lunchtime, but today it's 9:40am as I record this. I thought I'd get it out over and done with for the day, but mainly because I've actually managed to do some writing. So I've been telling you that I want to write a short story which is part of my 60/40 collection, the short stories that are Doctor Who and the Bill crossovers. And I have started that. This morning I've written the first 2,000 words of a story that's currently called The Temporal Detectives. I actually am trying to find a title that ties in with a Doctor Who title or a Bill episode title, and I'm struggling at the moment, so it may remain that. And it's the story I said about, so it's set in 1986 during Series 2 of The Bill. It's set during the 8th Doctor's era. I decided to go for the 8th Doctor. And the companion I chose to give, not that any of you will know who this is a companion called Charlotte Pollard. She was from the early 1900s and travelled with him with the 8th Doctor for a while in audio productions done by Big Finish. Although as a companion she is legitimate, because during the 2013 50th anniversary short episode The Night of the Doctor, which shows the 8th Doctor regenerating, just before he regenerates, because he deliberately chooses to regenerate to turn into the War Doctor, just before he regenerates he kind of mentions a lot of the companions he travelled with, and Charlie was one of them. Played by the lovely India Fisher, who I think she used to do the voiceover for Bake Off, possibly still does, so her voice will be more famous than what she looks like. But anyway, so that's what I've decided to do, and I was trying to work out how to do the story, so I decided to do, the comment I made yesterday was that I will just write it and that will be the process of fleshing it out, which sounds a bit obvious, but ideas come to me as I'm writing. So I knew the opening scene was going to be Detective Roy Galloway, and I think I chose Mike Dashwood in the end to sit in the interview room with him, sort of talking to Ace, although she's not Ace at the moment, she's just Dorothy McShane. She hasn't started travelling with the Doctor yet. But yeah, just basically she's been implicated in a fire. She does have the Doctor Who actually established that when she was 13, she sensed an alien presence in an old house called Gabriel Chase and burnt it down, and she did get convicted for that, and was basically, because she was young, she was put on some kind of probation. They've arrested her because she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, basically close to this fire that started in a convenience store, and when they arrest her they find her cans of Nitro 9, which is sort of homemade explosives, so things aren't looking very good for her. So that bit's written. And then the Doctor basically turns up, asks to speak to Bob Cryer, and basically says, look, this is the situation. We have to, she is innocent, she definitely didn't do it, because I was kind of responsible for what happened, and he didn't deliberately start a fire, but as a result of something he was doing, the fire was started. And he goes, well, I need she's too important to the web of time. There are things that she does in the future that will become fixed points in time, and basically she has to not go to prison for this, because it's going to bugger up the whole future. And Cryer's like, yeah, Roy's pretty sure he's got a conviction here. You're gonna have to convince him, basically. So the Doctor decides to take him back in time 24 hours to show him what really happened, which is going to be quite fun, because I can imagine Galloway's reaction when he steps into the TARDIS. And yeah, so it's going to be one of my less short stories. So far they've ranged between 4,000 and 6,000 words. I've written 2,000 already. I suspect this one will be around the 6,000 word mark. But like always with these, I don't go into it with a plan for how long it's going to be. I go into it with a rough idea of the story I want to tell, and allow the story to determine the length of it. But yeah, I'm quite happy with what I've written so far. As I say, it's lovely to use a Big Finish audio companion, because especially with the 8th Doctor literally appeared in 2 episodes, well 3 now, but originally 2 episodes on the television. So his first one in 1986, and then the one where he was shown to regenerate in 2013, and then he did also appear sort of in the 2022 100th anniversary of the BBC episode The Power of the Doctor. But we've hardly seen him, and so he had no television companions or nobody that travelled with him. And so Big Finish, the audio production company, have kind of filled in those gaps. They started producing audios in, was it 2001? Something like that, with Paul McGann as the Doctor. And the companions they created for him are absolutely superb. So the 3 that stand out in my head were Charlotte Pollard, the Edwardian adventuress, Lucy Bleeding Miller, the Temp, who witnesses something and is put on a Time Lord witness protection program and is forced to travel with him. And then the other one I was struggling to remember, the Doctor character, is actually a medical technician from the sort of Robots of Death universe called Liv Chenka. And I couldn't decide between those 3, and I decided to go with Charlotte Pollard in the end, because the character, to be fair, doesn't play an enormous part in this story, but she's a lot of fun to write for. The actress is wonderful. I need to find a moment. The one thing I haven't figured out is I need to have a moment with her and Ace, and I haven't figured that out yet, but I will. Anyway, so that's what I've done today. Back to work tomorrow. It's bad, isn't it? I'm doing 2 flights tomorrow. I'm flying to somewhere in Europe and back. I can't remember where. I'll remember on the day, obviously, but you tend to, if I'm staying somewhere overnight, it tends to stick in my mind better. I think it might be, I don't know, I'll look it up tomorrow. So anyway, I'm doing a there and back tomorrow, flying somewhere, flying back, and then I've got airport standby the following day. So I'm actually staying in a hotel in London overnight. So you will hear from me tomorrow evening, probably very late, because I clear very, very late. Let me just have a look on my watch at what time I finish tomorrow. I clear, which means I finish work at 22:25. So that's assuming we're on time. So I will probably... Should I put out a podcast tomorrow? There's probably nothing I'm going to be able to say tomorrow. No, so we'll decide I won't put a podcast out tomorrow. There we go. I want to, though. No, I will put I'll find something to talk about. The main reason I want to put one out over the next few days, consistently over the next few days, is this nonsense has been going on for nearly a year. So next month, on the 22nd of April, will be my first anniversary of doing this podcast. And there's a side of me that would really like to hit 300 episodes by the time I do that, which is probably why I will put one out tomorrow. Because that means I'll have done 300 in that first year. Obviously, this show is going to be marked as episode 77 or 76, and I did 200 last year. So this is effectively, I can't remember the number. If this is 76, this is actually the 276th. So I would like to try and be on show 300 on or by the 22nd. Pathetic, isn't it? Anyway, waffled on a bit more than I intended to there. I will be back saying something tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. For more information about what I'm writing, go to linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W, where you can find details of my website and social media. I may see you there.